you just got hired in game presentation. Maybe this is the first time you've ever had a job in the industry, or perhaps you're working with a new team in a new building that you've never worked in before. So what should you actually do first? Before the first game arrives, there are 5 things I would make sure I understand. These are things that will help you learn the operations faster, build trust with your crew, and be much more prepared for when it's finally time to call that show. So here are my top 5 things. So let's start with number 1. Familiarize yourself with the arena or stadium. The first thing I would do is take a walk of the building. And I'm not talking about that orientation walk that HR or somebody from your department might do with you. I'm talking about actually learning the building. Finding out where those tunnels are that the away teams come from, the home team, that goes into the locker rooms. Find out where your promo team's going to be coming from. If you have a cheer team, where they enter from. Where your host can move, and start looking around where your cameras are positioned. You don't necessarily need to memorize 20,000 or 50,000 seats, but memorize yourself some key sections. If someone says we're going to do this promo in section 129, you should have a pretty good idea of where section 129 is. And same thing go with the cameras. You're going to want to know where your camera 1, 2, 3, all your buildups are. You're going to want to know where your wireless position themselves during the game, where they can go, where they can't go, where you have boxes and cabling for cameras, where the wireless antennas are, and spots where you might not necessarily have coverage. And also, depending on your speaker system, how that's all set up, there might be some spots that you take a look at that are just tons of speakers shooting right below. You don't want to have your host there, create some feedback. So you just want to take a good look at your stadium and sort of what you're dealing with. And you're going to want to know this because you're going to be calling the show. You don't want to be walking around with a stadium chart in your hands at all times, trying to reference what other people are talking about. You want to be in on the action, and you also want to give some input on what might be beneficial to you and your crew. You can't effectively produce a show in a building that you don't understand. And sections are always going to be a big point of reference for years to come. While you're in that building, people are always going to refer to sections. So you might as well start memorizing early and making this one of the strong points of what you do. Just having these sections, at least a few of them memorized. You know, if you know where 101 is, you probably know where 102 is. If you know where 201 is, you probably know where 202 is. So just learn a few key sections, get access to a stadium map, and do whatever you can to start memorizing these sections. I personally built a game for myself that was challenging, but also a fun way to learn. And if anybody has any interest in seeing that or a tutorial on how to make something like that for yourself, I'm happy to do so. Let me know in the comments below and we could get that done. Number 2, call your part-time staff. Now this is number 2, and I know that this can get overlooked because it's something simple and it's not necessarily necessary. So call your part-time staff and actually call them. Try and talk to them on the telephone if you can. I've done this more than once, and it's been beneficial each time I do, because sometimes you're dealing with a show caller who's been there for years and years, and he has very tight relationships with your part-time crew members. To already go in before they arrive and already have some sort of rapport and relationship with you is huge. It can be a difficult situation to navigate if your past show caller has a good relationship with everybody and they're not necessarily happy to see the change. Whether they left in good terms or bad, it doesn't really matter. They just know that they're missing their last producer or show caller. And so yeah, you want to basically call them, introduce yourself, and they will appreciate talking to the person that they're going to be working with directly. Like I said, it's a great way to start building rapport. You can start learning about your crew, and sometimes you get a little bit of interesting feedback that goes a long way. At least that's been my experience when I've done this before. So this will make it easier because instead of that first game trying to figure out how it all works, who all these people are, you've already kind of established that, and they know who you are and where you come from, and it's just time to focus on the work. Number 3, and this might be the most obvious one on the list, but it is to get in those game script and watch the game footage. Don't just read the game script, watch through as well. See what's on the script and then see what actually happens. The game script can tell you what's supposed to happen, and the footage will tell you what actually did happen. Start learning the intro sequence. Start learning the promos that happen on TV timeouts. You're going to be calling for these promos anyways. You might as well start learning them. When I've moved across the country and I've taken over from other teams, there's some sponsors I've never even heard of before, and I pronounced their name wrong the first time. I do not know what these companies are called. So start understanding who your partners are, what their promotions are, and this will be easier for when you have drop-ins and stuff like that you need to get to quickly. If you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing for each of these, you can call them quicker and you can be more decisive in what you do, just having that understanding. So watch through some game footage, watch through a whole at least one video feed if you have one, and see what's actually happening. Maybe you come across an activation that's scheduled for 60 seconds and you notice it goes for 90. So why is that? Is that a one-off, or does that happen on multiple games? And if you have a team that has, a premium game, a bowl game, or a middle of the season theme game that's very popular with that specific team, watch that game film as well, because you're going to be required to execute that at some point yourself. So the more you watch, the better understanding of what your expectation is. So review the game footage, see what the marquee events are for your team, and review that footage as well. That's tip number 3. Number 4, understand the control room. Learn about the control room as much as you can. What equipment's in there, and what is being underutilized, and what is a limitation. Find out what's being automated, what's manual, how is it staffed, how many replays do you have, how do the replays work, how are you doing your playback, how are the graphics getting up, are you a Ross Video house, are you a Daktronics house, are you a Chiron house? You got to just figure out how everything works. How are your ribbon and field boards being triggered, how are your fascias, how is the audio routing. Try and unbundle that as much as you can. Try and figure out how each system integrates into each other. Where are your problems lying? Figure all that stuff out, because you really want to know what limitations you have and what can be done but hasn't been done. If your goal is to keep pushing that show to the next level, that's what you're really going to want to know, because that will tell you your answer right there, whether you can or can't do things, or what workarounds you're going to have to make. I would also recommend game producers at least have some working knowledge of basically every piece of equipment in that room. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be the ones they'll call as backup for if a replay operator can't show up or a switcher can't show up. But if you have some general idea how to use these machines, it will make your life easier in the long run. Being able to load a simple graphic, being able to make a simple switch on the switcher, this is all going to be valuable to know down the road. So what can the control room do and what can't it do? You don't need to be the engineer on day one. You don't need to be the engineer in general for most of you, but having some knowledge will really go far, and you're going to be able to work with your crew and not against them if you have some knowledge on this. And last but not least is 5, read the league operating manuals. Now, this one might be a little bit more boring for some of you. This one will have a lot of the do's and don'ts and the rules behind your show, but it's important to know and important to understand what you can and can't do. And a lot of this is going to be timing related, so this is a very valuable one when you're starting to build a script as well. You might have to introduce players at a certain time. You're going to want to know when warm-up starts and ends. You're going to want to know what you can do around replays, what you can do around music. For example, in the league I currently work in, there's rules around music, like when the huddle breaks, you got to stop playing your music right away. As the kicker's leading up to kickoff, you got to stop the music as he's starting to run up to the ball. Replays, when can we run replays? Well, are we allowed to run replays during an official review, or are we not? So knowing what you can and can't do will help you become more efficient, more confident, and more decisive in what you call and when you call it. And this is going to play dividends. If you know exactly what the weather ruling is, okay, this has been a half an hour long. Weather delay, I now know that there's going to be a 10-minute warm-up when the players do come back. Oh, it's gone to an hour. I now know there's going to be a 20-minute warm-up when the players come back. Stuff like that. If you can nail this stuff, it will make your job easier. It will make your life easier in the long run. So those are my 5 big tips that if I was going to start doing a new game presentation role that I would follow. And the way I like to think about it is my job isn't to change things right away. My job is to understand what I'm inheriting in order to best apply what I want to change, and if what I want to do makes sense for this building, for this team, for this crowd. If there's anything that you think should be added to this list, let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested in game presentation, live production, and the business behind creating a great fan experience, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.